Welcome, everyone, to this edition of Assisted Development, hosted by the unusual host today, Trey Hill. And that's because your usual host, Jordan, decided he wanted to play part of the mock draft. So I'm joined today by typical host, Jordan Ennis and Mike. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
Doing well today, Trey.
Mike, I think you said you were starting off, correct? So you're going to have the number one pick?
Yeah, I can, pull some teeth and make that number one pick. You want me to start?
So, yeah, you go ahead and jump right into it. We all know what the pick is, so I guess my big question is there any chance in the world the Spurs trade this pick?
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, that would be super surprising.
Yeah. I mean, if someone came with like freaking their entire franchise and it's like a good,
like if the Thunder say, hey, here's Chet and 18 first round picks. Like literally just 18 first round picks, Chet Holmgren, and maybe the not as good Jalen Williams, J Will, not J Dub.
I think you got to give him J Dub too, and then we'll talk.
Okay, but assuming Wemby does not play anywhere but San Antonio, how is the fit? What do you think the pros and cons of that are? What are your thoughts on that situation?
I mean, I think any team could use Wembanyama. Obviously, like you just whatever center you have, if they're really that good, you just deal with it. Or obviously, Wemby can play your center for the Spurs. They don't really have anyone blocking him, and no one can really block Wembanyama anyway. But so I mean, it gives them a young, potential superstar unicorn to build around. And I actually really like that the Spurs got the number one pick. I think it's a good landing spot. It's a decent organization, it's a solid organization. You don't run into, him going somewhere that you feel like is going to mismanage him too badly. And I'm excited for this fit. I think, I mean, it depends how much they play Wembanyama's rookie year. If he's, logging 30 minutes a game or whatever, but I'd actually make the Spurs pretty interesting because they have some other pieces around him. I don't think they're as bad of a team as them having the number one pick suggests.
Yeah. They really needed a center and
a superstar.
Look what's happening, so it's just kind of, he makes all the other pieces fit better around him. So
He really does. I thought the Spurs might tank last year because there was such good, high-end talent that was tall, that center talent from last year. So I thought the team was set up perfectly for a center. And of course the Spurs are going to be the ones that get Wembanyama. So that one was pretty easy. The next one, not as much. So Jordan, with the Charlotte Hornets on the clock, it's really between two guys. I know this much, Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. Which one do you think the Hornets are going to pick, and which one do you think they should pick?
So, should is a very easy answer. Let's look at these two guys just in comparison. And I know that I'm probably a little lower on Brandon Miller than consensus. But Brandon Miller is an excellent shooter. He is probably, his floor is that he's going to be a good starter. Like that's his floor. He has skills that every team in the league is going to need. Probably even if he goes to, if he goes to Charlotte, he's starting. If he goes to Portland, he's starting. If he goes to whatever team Portland trades the pick to, he's starting. Like he's going to start because his floor is he's going to be a good starter. But his ceiling is also like he's an all-star, like maybe a Julius Randle all-NBA guy, like who shouldn't have made it but somehow did. Like he's very similar to Mike said Brandon Ingram. I think Ingram's a little bit better of a playmaker than Brandon Miller, but like that's the level of player that he is like a Brandon Ingram. Scoot legitimately has MVP potential, all NBA first team potential. Like he is that good of a prospect. Scoot is absolutely incredible. His potential is so much higher than Miller's, and I don't think his floor is much lower than Miller's. And he's a shot creator from the mid-range. He's an incredible athlete. He's got the huge hands for defense. He's a good passer. I think he also fits well with LaMelo Ball too, because I think LaMelo can play on and off ball, and I think he can play on and off ball. So I think they're a good comparison. And somebody with those hands, with that athleticism, with that intensity, and that aggression, when Michael Jordan talks to Scoot, he's going to want Scoot on his team because he's going to see a shorter version of himself.
So is Scoot the answer for both of those questions? That's what it
No,
sounds like
because-
you're leaning.
No, because the Hornets are always going to make the wrong decision. So they're going to draft Brandon Miller.
Okay, so we're going Brandon Miller officially.
So yeah, they're going to draft Brandon Miller. They should draft Scoot, but they're going to draft Brandon Miller.
I live in Charlotte, so sell me on the Brandon Miller LaMelo pairing. Am I going to at least enjoy that, or is it just am I going to be looking at Scoot and thinking what if?
Well, you're going to be looking at Scoot and thinking what if. But Brandon Miller is a 6'8" forward who can even play some shooting guard. Like he's going to be a great player at multiple
He's got that positional
levels.
size that everyone's looking for.
You're not going to be disappointed with Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller is still going to be someone who's going to be solid. But the problem with Brandon Miller over Scoot is we want to work right now. We want to win right now. And Charlotte's not set up to win right now. They're just not.
Thoughts, Mike?
I guess I think they probably will take Scoot, but it's not a guarantee at all that they're going to do that. So I do.
You have me rooting for Scoot now, so I hope that's where they go.
I think I'm a little bit compared to Jordan. I'm a little bit lower, like not a huge amount, but just slightly lower on Scoot and slightly higher on Miller compared to Jordan. But for me, the tiebreaker is Scoot is over a year younger. So and
almost it's 2.5. I think he's way younger.
I think the G League is a higher level of competition. I don't know how. Like it's higher than SEC even. So I mean, Scoot's numbers are pretty good. The shooting numbers were not as good as the Miller's, but he brings a whole another dimension of playmaking compared to Miller. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do. I don't really think they'll as long as they take one of these two guys. I don't think they'll completely mess it up or mess their team up or anything.
So assuming that Charlotte does take Miller, the Portland Trailblazers, if they don't trade the pick, we're going to assume they keep the pick. Do they just take Scoot because he's so much better than everyone else?
Yeah,
is that where you're at with it?
They would take him, I think. I mean, that's the NBA works. If you see,
I think you trade Anthony. I think you trade Simons if you get Miller, or if you don't get Miller, you trade Simons. Like if it comes down to choosing between Scoot and Simons, like you take Scoot 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000.
Yeah.
All right, then. So, I mean, this is where it really starts. So, Houston is at 4. Again, assuming they keep the pick, let's assume that Harden is not a Rocket. Where should Houston look to try and build and establish themselves? Because after this year, their picks go out, I'm pretty sure. So this is their last chance to really add a top-tier talent through the draft.
So, to me, there is one person left in the same tier as Brandon Miller. There's one person left who I think can do a lot with the ball in his hands. I think his off-ball potential is there. He's just not been able to utilize it very much. But to me, Amen Thompson is the guy here. You've got to go with Amen. He's a 6'8" point guards don't grow on trees, especially ones with his point of attack defense. Sorry, 6'7". I guess he's 6'7". So I was 1 inch off, but 6'7" point guards who, there's many people who have tried to get what he is. The greatest explanation that I've seen. So he has more on ball point of attack defense potential than this, but this is like kind of what he is right now. as far as the mold of what he is right now. He's like a 6'7" John Morant or a 6'7" Russell Westbrook. He's that kind of a player. He's got that athleticism. He's got that strength. He's got that drive and aggression. The jump shot's still a little funky, but again, if you're 5 inches taller than John Morant, the jump shot can be a little funky.
Right, and I think Houston with Şengün, I think the playmaking big, Jokic has turned that in vogue, and I think Şengün is great at it. So it sounds like Amen is going to play really well off of that with his athleticism, and in terms of not just like in terms of everything else and the athleticism, it sounds like he'd be a really good fit on an already just really athletic, really long team.
And you put Amen and Jalen Green in the same backcourt. That's probably the most athletic backcourt that's ever existed. Like the absolute, like they're just going to be jumping over defenders every play.
Less explosive, yeah.
And then you have Tari Eason and Jabari Smith Jr. there on the wings, just gobbling up everything on the defensive end, helping hide Şengün's weaknesses. I really like what Houston is building. I wouldn't hate if Harden ended up there because I do think he could help establish a winning culture for those guys, and I think it's important to learn how to win. But even if he doesn't, if they add someone like Amen, I think they're going to be on the right track. So if he's off the board, Mark, where are you going with Detroit at number 5?
See, this to me is where the draft begins.
Yeah, I would go. This is actually I was going to ask the group chat this earlier, like because if you think about the Pistons right now, they have Cade, Jaden Ivey, and Duren, so they kind of have like a core that is really.
I would
exciting.
say Bay is also probably part of their core since they traded so much for him.
Bay,
City Bay.
He's gone.
Oh, they traded him. That's right. They traded him. I'm tired. It's been.
I was like, how did they? Because didn't they draft?
They traded for Bagley, I think, right?
They traded for Bagley, and for Wiseman, which doesn't make sense because they
Wiseman. That's who I was thinking.
They traded all. That's what I was meaning. They traded all the stuff for Wiseman.
Either way, they kind of.
It seems like he's part of the core, but I don't know why he would be a part of a core because Duren's better than him.
One of those two will probably end up being part of the core.
Yeah.
And I would think it would probably be Wiseman, but I won't close the door on Bagley yet. But in all, like they really need a small forward. They need someone who can decide to play the wing. And there is now. It seems like you could look at Hendricks here, but I would go Whitmore just because they're so early. They're early enough in their rebuild that you're just swinging for the fences. And I think Whitmore provides that huge swing. And if you hit on Whitmore and Cade and Ivy and Duren develop as they should, you're really looking at something here.
He's also a top tier athlete, correct? From what I think I've heard in other drafts and other draft talk. You laugh, but I don't follow. So the idea of I know like Cade, I love Cade. I think he can be the number one guy on a title contending team. That's how high I am on him. But he's not a top tier athlete. Ivy is a top tier athlete. Whitmore can be a top tier athlete. I think surrounding him with those guys, it's just a recipe for success. And being a Bulls fan, it sucks because they're in my division.
Yeah. So I'm someone who actually believes that Cade should be more off ball. So I was like all in on Ivy being there because I think that you can weaponize Cade's shooting if he actually has it. Like the shooting might just be gone at this point. Like that's beginning to be a worry. But he had elite shooting in college. So if that ever comes back, I think the way you weaponize that more is him off ball and being the secondary ball handler instead of the primary. So I also think, though, that Cade is big enough that if you needed to go smaller, you could take a 2-guard. And Whitmore is that kind of, he plays 2 and 3. Like he's big enough to play 3, but he could also play 2. Like I just think it's a great fit that you just kind of put whichever one of them. You probably put Cade on the better offensive player of the two of them, and then you just hope for the best. Like I think it's a great fit. Asor would be the other one that you didn't mention that maybe I could see going here. But yeah, it's a great fit.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, Jordan, who are you taking for Orlando at 6?
Well, see, I thought I was taking Cam Whitmore. So that is thrown a little wrench in the system. The Magic need like a shooting guard, and they really need a shooting guard. The best. This is where it is because Taylor Hendricks is like the Magic's dream player. That's what they want, but they've already got it so many different ways. So I think I'm going to go slightly shorter than Taylor Hendricks. And I think this is where you do a SOAR. I think that they have enough time to let him develop. They've got enough talent right now that they can put him in winning situations to help him really develop. And so I think I'm going to do a SOAR there. I just think that he fits so well with his connective tissue. He is a fantastic defender, and I think he's going to be a great addition there because none of the Magic players right now are just like lockdown defenders. A SOAR will be. So I think that's a great fit. Like I think everybody on the Magic is more of like a switching defender. And I think he can be their one that they put, okay, this will be our linchpin of our defense. So I'm pretty excited with that. I think the Magic would have been better the first year with Whitmore, but I think better long-term with a SOAR.
All right, Mike, what do you think about that one?
I like that fit because Asor is more of a wing right now, but he also kind of has that playmaking upside, ball handling upside, to where now I think they're probably going to run most of their offense through Paolo, but just they do have all these guard kind of not necessarily prospects, but youngish guards and Fultz. Cole.
Do you guys remember PG's Pacers?
Yeah.
Where like literally everybody was a ball handler. That's like everybody except for good grief, Hibbert. Yeah, everybody but Hibbert was a ball handler. That's kind of what the Orlando Magic could be. Is just like literally anybody could bring the ball up.
Yeah, so I like that fit. I think it's a good pick. I think that's what. Let's see, probably what I would have done too. I think. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's probably what I would have done. I'm trying to think of anyone that would really poke through. Yeah, because they have so many guards still that they're still kind of like you can't just give up on Suggs, Fultz, and Cole Anthony already. Like,
yeah,
I
think one of those guys is going to break out.
Nothing's going to come out of that. There's no way at all. Just are like below average or average or whatever. Someone's going to be something there. So I like that idea.
All right, then. Well, you have to sort through for the Indiana Pacers next at 7. So who do you think is going to fit there? I think Halliburton had a really great season, and I think he's, you can throw just about anyone around him, and they're going to be able to succeed. Who do you have Indiana looking to take at 7?
This would be Taylor Hendricks for me because they need an upside swing. They need a power forward. I think Hendricks has more upside than Jarris Walker, and they have pretty solid shooting. But I mean, think about this is a really nice team they're putting together. I think how old is Turner? Like 29 now, or something. So he's still he's a little bit younger than people think. But because I'm trying to think like long term because they have Halliburton, they have a couple lower tier guys. They still have Duarte, but Halliburton.
They have Nembhard, they have Mathurin, they have Nembhard, they have Duarte, they have Isaiah Jackson is there. I think he's pretty good as far as like the big for the future.
Hendricks is interesting because he could potentially guard the 3 either
and the 4.
Yeah. So I mean, having Halliburton, Mathurin, Hendricks, Turner, Isaiah Jackson. Because I think Isaiah Jackson will probably be a borderline starter. I really liked him.
Can you imagine trying to score on Miles Turner and Taylor Hendricks? Like, thank you. And Rick Carlisle's the defensive coach. Like,
I mean, you could put that lineup out there. You could put Halliburton, Mathurin, Hendricks, Turner, Jackson. That'd be a really interesting lineup.
Yeah, and then with Rick Carlisle having the defensive scheme, like, oh man, that seems that's a pretty tough team to defend on, and the shooting there is actually really, really good. There's a lot of spacing. It's kind of like a Rick Carlisle dream team.
Duarte, or I don't know if Hill is coming. Is he still there?
Yeah, Hield's still there. Yeah,
that's an interesting team. I think Hendricks is a good fit though. I think I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I don't really know. You could look.
That's who I do.
Grady
That's
Dick,
who I
but yeah,
do.
I think Hendricks fits way better.
I think it's him or Walker. Jarris Walker. One of those two.
So then, if you think it's one of those two for the Pacers, is it going to be one of those two for the Wizards, who draft lottery night they had a better than 50-50 shot at landing Wembanyama when the ping pong balls fell, but it just was not meant to be.
Yeah. To me, I actually don't think Jarris Walker is a fit, just because they seem so set at forward right now. They have so many forwards because it seems like they're bringing back Kuzma. Seems like they're bringing back KP. But they desperately need a point guard, and there is a good point guard right in this top range of the draft. I believe that Arkansas's Anthony Black. This is such a good fit for Anthony Black. I think you could also make an argument for Cason Wallace here, but Anthony Black to me has the higher upside between him and Wallace. And like just a 6'7" actual point guard who is that cerebral, has that kind of athleticism next to Beal. Like the fit is so good. And then when you have KP, when you have Denny, and you have Kuzma and Beal.
Yeah, they have some.
Anthony Black's lack of shooting right now, I think his potential is there, but he's not a great shooter right now. I think you can overcome that with those other four guys. So I really like this. And then, they've got even other shooters off the bench. So the guy from Gonzaga.
Don't they kind of, they have Kispert. I guess they have, I forget about Avdia. So yeah, that fits nicely because I think Black profiles, I like him better than obviously Kispert. And I think he's a higher end prospect than Avdia. I remember people liked Avdia a lot coming out, and he's shown something.
They're pretty similar.
Yeah, Black, I think, profiles as you can try him as a guard. And if for some reason Avdia or Kispert are just seem to be bench players or whatever, which I'm not saying is the case, but if that were to happen, you have some flexibility.
You can easily switch Anthony Black to a forward if you need to.
Yeah, because I'm sure. We're going to get a bunch of. There's always going to be point guards in the draft. If there's one coming out, and then in a later year, Black has some flexibility.
He's so versatile.
He's got to shoot.
Black was the guy I was told to look at in the draft. A few people have told me I will love him in this year's draft. So
he's so big, and when he attacks the rim, that size really shows up, and he just seems like he's a wing who's been playing point guard, and I think that you can do a lot with that because he's not. People compare him to Kyle Anderson. I think he's
much more athletic than Kyle Anderson.
And I think he's just,
that's good.
He's a pretty good floor general, though. So if you were to get his playmaking on the wing long term, I actually think that would be really impressive. And because he can play guard, I think you should try him there first, honestly, as kind of a lead guard, not necessarily a lead guard, but as a guard.
Well, and I think Beal takes some of that pressure off of him too. I just think it's such a good fit.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, then. So with 9, Mike, where are you thinking for the Utah Jazz? I believe they also have the number 16 pick in this year's draft from the Timberwolves. Yeah. And 28 from Philadelphia.
Yeah, they have three
first-round picks. I don't know that they'll take 3 first-round picks, but assuming they draft at 9, who do you have them taking?
Let me pull up the depth chart because they've moved around a lot. So, all right, so they got Sexton.
I don't think they have a depth chart. I think Sexton is Sexton,
really,
Kessler, and
Markkanen. Kessler, yeah. So she's going out for it, or so. I think I am going to go with. Let's see. I have 2 main names in mind here. I think I'm going to go with Grady Dick because I think he is so his play style and archetype is just like one of the most valued in the league, like a wing that can shoot. And I think he has some not like lead guard potential, but on ball potential still to be unlocked. And he's not a bad defender, so I think he fits in well. Because they really need a 2-3 because I feel like really Markkanen, if you can fly Markkanen, I guess is actually kind of improved as a defender and can sort of be at the 3. I like a Markkanen Kessler front court and then you fill in around that. But that's just me. So Sexton, Grady, Markkanen, Kessler. I think they're really, starting slow, but you got a core.
And Utah's going to love another white guy. So
yeah, I didn't even think of that.
The shooting around because Will Hardy wants them to shoot a ton of threes. So Grady Dick does fit in that area because he's going to shoot a ton of threes and he's going to make a ton of them. I also think that since his team defense needs some work, but his on-ball defense is solid, I kind of think that Will Hardy is a good coach for helping with the team defense. So I don't think this is necessarily the best pick for the Jazz, but I kind of think this is the best pick for Grady Dick. So
what would you have done?
I would have done who the Mavs are going to get anyway now. So Jarris Walker.
All right. Well, then Jace Walker.
Jarris Walker. Jarris Walker is a master in this thing called the short pick and roll. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's this guy in Dallas. His name is Luka Doncic, and he loves to do pick and rolls. So that 2-man game is about to be absolutely nasty with them doing short pick and rolls, and you're going to have either Tim Hardaway Jr. or you're going to have Josh Green, or you're going to have Jaden Hardy off on the wing. Like, you can't double off of one of those guys because they're going to hit the open 3. Like, oh, this is exciting. This is the perfect fit for Dallas. If Dallas had a top 4 pick, I would be arguing for them to take Jarris Walker. I think his potential is not actually being realized very much because Houston had him in such a constrained system. I think Houston's system was so rigid for him that he didn't get to show as much as he can do. But I still think that what he did at Houston was super impressive on the defensive end. He's a switchable defender. He's a big body. He's a great rebounder. He can handle the ball a little bit. I think his shot creation that he showed in high school is real. He didn't do it at Houston, but I think that is real. He's an excellent passer, especially on the move. I just really think this is such a good fit with Luka and with Kyrie. I love it.
Mike, what do you think? Do you love the fit as much as Jordan does? Because he clearly he was giddy. he was downright giddy, excited.
I was so happy when you chose Grady Dick. Like, it just made.
If you're listening to this and not watching it, I might have to clip just that part.
A fit and a value standpoint, I think it is really good. So I agree with Jordan.
Well, that one was easy. This next one's gonna hurt me personally. It's the pick that the Bulls have to give up for trading for Vucevic. It's the last of getting rid of those. So who will Orlando take to just enrich the already rich pot they got for their aging center?
Let's see. I think, is George a bad defender? Like, I'm kind of comparing George and Hawkins, honestly, because
I would personally do Hawkins.
I think Hawkins would fit pretty well.
They need the shooting, and he's the best shooter in the class and an excellent defender.
Yeah, I think if they added Hawkins you got whatever guard that they want to throw out there, and then you have Hawkins, Franz, Paolo, Wendell. That's really.
I'll put it this way: if you had taken Walker, I would have taken Hawkins for the Mavs.
Yeah.
So
I'm not super high on Hawkins, but he's got a role.
Well, see, part of my problem, like, there are some people who talk about Hawkins being like so old, but like, he's just like 3 months older than Brandon Miller. So if we're considering Brandon Miller as young in this class, like, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take Hawkins and consider him also young.
And he's still young enough to grow with the core in Orlando.
Exactly.
It's not like, so to me, I don't think the age thing makes nearly as big of a difference as it might have in maybe some other situations.
I think Hawkins
can grow with him.
He just doesn't really profile as a ball dominant player, which is not a problem at all for that.
So we're going with Hawkins for sure at 11? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good pick.
All right. All right, then what about 12? The Oklahoma City Thunder are on the clock.
Okay, so here's the problem with the Thunder. They kind of don't have a guard need, but to me, Cason Wallace is for sure the pick here. But the Thunder have never been like, we're going to follow our draft board. Like that's so. I think that the Thunder, because to me, Chet is a power forward, not a center. And Derek Lively's still there. I think that's a great fit for them. But also,
We cut out.
I cannot think of a better player for the Thunder than Leonard Miller. So I'm trying to decide between Leonard Miller and Derek Lively. So maybe Mike.
Which one has the best positional size? That they seem to love positional size.
Well, it depends on what position you think Leonard Miller plays. Because he's a 6'10 kind of.
We're throwing Miller to the. Sorry, I cut out. Are we going Miller to the Thunder? That's really interesting.
I'm trying to decide between Leonard Miller or Derek Lively. So
how much? Oh, I guess okay. I guess they have Chet. Yeah, that's it, right? In the front court.
Yeah, basically. It's just Chet.
What's the other guy's name?
Oh, Poku.
Poku.
Yeah.
Poku.
Yeah, if they feel sold, I just think Lively. I think Lively and Chet is such a beautiful combination. I think I'm going to go Lively. I really think that they expect, I expect Lively to be gone before this, so that's why I'm a little kind of surprised. Wow. So I think Lively.
And I'm in on Lively in the top 20 for sure, but interesting. I think he'll be already gone. But yeah,
the shooting he showed at his pro day, I think, is going to get somebody to bite on him.
Yeah, just he's different than Mo Bamba, but just like Mo Bamba, just shooting those threes.
Well, and I think his defense is so much better than Bamba's. Yeah, that end of rebounding and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, then. So from one team that likes size to another team that likes size, what are the Toronto Raptors doing at 13, Mike?
I think they would go with. I think they would take Cason Wallace here if you followed.
Yeah, there's
a version of Van Vliet.
Yeah. Cason Wallace is basically your Drew Holiday type player, and I think he has that upside too. So I just, I think you just take him here. He's fallen too far. I think the Raptors just kind of take him and don't look back.
Yeah, you have him at 10 on your big board, so him falling to 13 is a little bit of a slide for him. Is he replacing Fred VanVleet, you think? Do you guys think Fred VanVleet's just on his way out, or is he coming in to just eventually take that? Or is he going to be coming in and playing right away? Do you think he can come in and play right away?
Yeah, I think either way. I think if VanVleet's gone, you just hand him the point guard. And if VanVleet stays, you play him at shooting guard because they need a guard, and they need another guard other than VanVleet anyway. So I think it's fine either way. To me, Mike made a good pick there.
All right, then to round out the lottery, the New Orleans Pelicans, a team a lot of people had high hopes for. They seem to have a really deep roster. If Zion can get healthy, he seems to be on that Joel Embiid career path. Hopefully he can turn things around like Embiid did. But on a team that's really deep and people seem to think need to compete, and a year or two while they have CJ McCollum still in his prime, where do you think they might go with the 14th pick?
So this is my kind of confusion here because they kind of need nothing. Their team is pretty they just want depth at this point. So do you consider Dyson more of a guard and therefore they need to go more wing? Or do you consider Dyson more of a wing and they can get another guard? I think I consider him more of a wing personally. And so that leaves there's 3 guards.
I consider more of a wing.
Yeah, there's 3 guards to me that are the same level left, and that's Nick Smith, Keontae George, and Jalen Hood-Schifino. And they're all in that range to me. There's also, you could argue, Kobe Buffkin, and then, good grief, Mike's favorite. What's his name? Totally
Sensabaugh?
blanking. Yeah, Sensabaugh.
He's like a shooting guard. I feel like, but yeah.
Well, to me, I'm viewing McCollum as the point guard now for the Pelicans. So I think Sensabaugh does make some sense.
All
I think
those other guys are more lead guard potential than Sensabaugh. I think Sensabaugh is a scoring guard.
And I have Kobe Buffkin 25. And I know that I'm lower on Kobe Buffkin, but I actually think that Buffkin is the one who would go here. So I'm having Buffkin.
Wow.
Because I am lower, but I have a feeling that NBA teams are not lower on Buffkin. And then with Buffkin's,
I think you're right on that.
I don't buy that his on-ball defense is as good as it looked in Michigan. I think that it's a little bit of a mirage, but if his point of attack defense is as good as it was in Michigan, the theory of Buffkin fitting into that team just makes more sense. So I'm going with Buffkin.
All right, I'm still good. Do you guys want to keep going into the first round, or do you need to wrap up, Mike?
No, I'm good. We can keep going.
All right, then. So you're up next with the Atlanta Hawks at 15. There have been, rumors of maybe Trae Young, whispers that he might be on the potential trade block eventually. I think John Collins has to go at this point, though. So let's assume John Collins is off the team. Where do you think Atlanta goes?
I think there also is a world where Capella's also gone. So,
if they were losing Collins and or Capella, I would go Leonard Miller because he's still available, right? The other guy I would look at is Sensabaugh because he gives them another scoring option and he can sort of pretend to be on the wing, but I'm trying to think what I would do. I technically have, I actually have Sensabaugh ranked higher. So let's go Sensabaugh just because I think he's so bad on defense. So this is not.
He'll fit right in.
Yeah, I was about to say he's just
in, but I actually think that's they kind of need to lean into that. If they're going to have Trae Young out there, they're never going to be that good on defense. They almost need to have a guy here because I think I really like what Miller showed. And I like him as a prospect. I just think Sensabaugh is going to be could be different play style, but a DeMar DeRozan level of scoring potentially.
And you said you have Sensabaugh higher than Leonard Miller, right?
I had Sensabaugh at 12, which is one of the highest out of probably anybody.
That is definitely pretty high because Jordan has him at 26.
Yeah, a bunch of haters. Sensabaugh, the Ennis clan.
My worry with Sensabaugh is how much do you have to get out of his game to make him a purely effective player. I just feel like you have to kind of hit. He is a lot like Jet Howard to me. I think you have to cut out a lot of fat from his game, or like Amani Bates. You have to convince them that they're not a star.
I think they would go with Jet Howard because of the slightly more playmaking and the more size. I think
we already turned the card in, man. I already typed it in the live video.
Thinking back on it, I actually think they would probably if they were
because the Jazz have already turned in their pick, and their pick is Nick Smith Jr. They need another guard. I think
in the backcourt.
I just feel like Sexton and Nick Smith are gonna just absolutely murder some teams. They might not win a lot of games, but they are going to murder some teams. And with Grady,
they might not want to win a lot of games.
With Markkanen shooting, and then you got Kessler playing the defense down low. That's a pretty nice team.
That poor coach. Can you imagine? You have who did they get?
And Jordan Clarkson off the bench too.
Who did they get earlier? Did they had an earlier pick and they got?
Yeah, you got Grady Dick to him.
They got Grady Dick. Can you imagine? You have Grady Dick, Markkanen, and Kessler up front. So Kessler's a really good defender, but besides that, I feel like that 3 through 5 is actually really interesting. And then they're not going to touch the ball.
Yeah. I think that Nick Smith is actually a better passer than he showed at Arkansas, but some of that was he was playing with Anthony Black. So
it would be like a constructed, like interesting team. There's a lot of shooting out there. There's a lot of scoring out there. There's actually a lot of scoring out there. And if Kessler's the type of defender that he showed his rookie year, it could work.
Yeah,
That's a lot of shooting.
it's a lot of shooting.
All right, then. So the Lakers are picking at 17, and they had a really good run to the conference finals. I think it exceeded all expectations, but the team they built in the second half after the trade deadline, it seems like they've really maybe found something. Who do you think they're going to pick, Mike, that can help LeBron maybe try and find his way back to another finals?
I think I would go Jet Howard here just because they need to add more scoring and shooting right away. I think Whitehead is an interesting guy to look at as well. But I think they would go ready-made. And I actually like Howard because I think he can at least score right away and shoot right away. But he still has upside. Like there's a lot of other guys like Whitehead or Miller. And additionally, there's even more guys beyond that available. But Howard, I think, at least brings something day one, even though he's got his warts. I think that's what they would look at. And he has size too. That's why I think Howard is far from a perfect player, but he can shoot and score and play make a little bit, and he's got that size. So I really like him.
Especially if they get rid of Rui this offseason, getting someone in that has that kind of size. I think that really helped. Can he shoot?
Yeah.
Oh,
he said he can score.
That's about
the
the
only
only thing.
Score, but I don't know if he can shoot. Like if he can shoot and space the floor with that size, then I think that's a really good fit.
The advantage of having Jet under LeBron is just not going to let Jet do all of his dumb stuff where he thinks that he's the ball handler and thinks that he's the one who's going to create all the shot. Like LeBron's just not going to let that fly. So it might be a good thing for Jet to be in LA. I'm a little surprised you didn't go with Jalen Hood-Schifino, which is who the Heat are definitely going to take.
Yeah, I guess
they need a replacement for Kyle Lowry because he's kind of getting washed. And Hood-Schifino, to me, is a excellent replacement for him. He probably should have gone much higher than this. And so, yeah, I'm not totally sure why he dropped, but just the size, the ability to get to the rim. He's kind of very Spencer Dinwiddie.
You say that, but you only have him 17 on your big board,
right?
So he only fell one spot.
For me, yes, but I'm surprised that as far as the intel from draft teams and stuff is that he's fine. I think that Leonard Miller falling, that kind of stuff, that I can see that happening on draft day, but I really felt like Schifino probably would have gone higher. Although there's just not very many teams that want guards. So this is where we're starting to hit the teams that do want guards. So makes sense.
Yeah, I like that fit.
Well, speaking of teams that might want guards in the draft, they probably should have went guard instead of center when they had that number 2 pick. But the Golden State Warriors, after just an off season for them, who can they pick to maybe get back on track, Mike?
You took Buffkin, right?
Yeah, Buffkin's already
gone.
All right. I think they would take Leonard Miller if he felt, because this is kind of a little bit of a fall for Miller. Or would they look at someone like Chris Murray? I think probably looking between Chris Murray. I think I'm going to go Leonard Miller. I think that.
Yeah, I think it's. I think you just take him, and even if you take him to trade him later.
Yeah, because there's not really anyone left besides Chris Murray that's you can plug this guy in and he's going to continue the dynasty or anything. Not that I see. The other guy that I would look at is Maxwell Lewis, but it feels a little bit early for that. So. Yeah,
I was thinking Max Lewis. He's kind of a Warrior style.
I think Miller's got enough upside that you don't really let him fall past you if you're the Warriors.
So here's the problem. We're at the Rockets, and
they have Amen from this earlier in the draft also.
And Keontae George is the guy that I have left, but if he's not a fit on the team, especially if they're also getting Harden. because they just have so many of those guards like that. And to me, you need. I am going to kind of go out of left field a little bit. We're going to pick a wing that has a ton of potential, and we're going to take Gigi Jackson here.
Oh boy.
Because they seem to just love head cases there anyway between KJ Martin and KPJ. Might as well just take Gigi Jackson.
So do you think that's just too many young impressionable young men without a leader, or is that just the Rockets' way apparently these days?
I think that they are just trying to go for big swings at this point, because they need to get a superstar, and so I think they're just going with the highest potential possible.
Do they still need superstar? I guess sort of. They need their one, maybe. I guess, but at this point, trying to get that at 20, I guess. To me, I would look at someone like Chris Murray for them, just because, like, just bringing out someone else in that can play because they don't have like a real. Well, I guess Eason profiles like that. I think that would be interesting. You have Şengün, Eason, Murray, Green. Oh, and
I don't expect Gigi Jackson to play a whole lot,
yeah.
And they've already got 2 picks. Since they've got 2 picks, I think they can develop
kind of
this one.
At par 4 at like the big spot still. You think Murray or Gigi have a better chance to play small forward? I guess it's almost like
I think Gigi has more of a chance.
Koulibaly or Maxwell too for them, but
yeah. But I'm going to go with Gigi.
So what about the Brooklyn Nets? They get the pick from the Phoenix Suns. I'm sure it was in the Bridges trade. I don't have that up, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
Looking to add to that core, they also would love to find a number 1, but I don't think you're going to at 21. So what can Brooklyn do here to improve their chances next year?
Let's see. They need sort of a point guard and sort of a power forward, I think, is the biggest needs. So, yeah, I think they would go. They're at. Let's see. We got pretty much all those higher end guys gone. So I think they would go. I think I'm going to take
there's a lot of options at this point in the draft.
I want to take Koulibaly just because he's like the last. I don't even necessarily know that much about him. I haven't watched him play enough, or feel like I don't even necessarily feel like he's that amazing of a prospect, but he's the last real upside swing.
Yeah.
And he's the wing. So I think at the stage it kind of makes sense. I like him better than Rupert for sure. So that's what they have the Nets doing on Tankathon. So give me Koulibaly instead of Rupert.
And then I'm going to have since the Nets have another pick in a row, the next pick they're going to do is Keontae George for me. George, there's too much potential there to keep ignoring him. It's going to be a little bit weird of a fit between him.
I forgot about him. That's who I forgot about. I would have taken him, but whatever if we do it in this order.
Yeah, we can flip it around. I would have taken Koulibaly, so
he's so high up.
If you had gone Keontae George, so
wow,
yeah, we're thinking the same way. We're just doing them different orders. So I think I prefer Keontae over Cam Thomas personally, even though Cam Thomas has shown a lot. But I also think that there is a world where the two of them can fit together anyway. So, yeah, I think it'll be okay. They're in kind of rebuilding mode, so let them rebuild. Take as much talent as they can get.
Portland is not rebuilding, and even if they have, assuming they have Scoot and Dame Lillard and they move Simons out, you're still pretty set at guard. So what might they do with the Knicks pick that they acquired at 23? Mike, Mike, you're up. You're the odds.
Give me, or give them. Let's see. So they really, I think Maxwell Lewis is what I'm going to do.
That's a fine pick.
Because he's got a little bit more upside than Chris Murray, I think, even though Murray's a solid player. And yeah, I think Maxwell does a lot of things well. He's got really good measurables. I think I'm higher than a lot of people on Maxwell. So, or a lot of people are high on him too, but compared to like mainstream consensus, I'm higher. Yeah, give me Maxwell Lewis.
And that lets me reunite the identical twins in Keegan and Chris Murray.
Oh my God.
So I am, as
beautiful.
an identical twin, I appreciate this. One, Chris is the right pick, even if they didn't have Keegan. They really need more depth on the forward to me. So Chris just fits perfectly. So I'm a huge fan of this fit. Also, it's kind of nice that we're putting the twins back together. That's kind of cool. But he's still the right pick, even if his brother wasn't there, because they desperately need some more depth in that forward position. So
that's an excellent pick. All right, we've got the Grizzlies up next at 25, getting down to the tail end of the first round. We don't know if Ja is going to be playing or not. I think we can let's assume he gets suspended for 10 games. Let's just say 10 games just for the sake of this. Ja's out for 10 games. What are the Grizzlies looking to do? Do they think guard, or are they set enough that they're looking elsewhere?
They're better without Ja anyway. So
I would take Noah Clowney there for them.
Whoa!
Okay. I like Noah a lot. I don't think Tillman's that. I mean, he's not. I don't know if he's that good. I think if you had Jaren and Clowney in the front court, that'd be pretty baller. I'm pretty high on Clowney, I think.
Clearly, I had to scroll a little bit just to make sure I was spelling his name right, because Jordan had him all the way down at 44.
He's not his rankings. What don't you like about this?
I just kind of feel like he needs another year of college, personally.
We can do it in the NBA. It's even better.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily that I don't like him. It's that I like some of the other people around him better. But prepare to also scroll way down, because there is a rumor that this guy has a first round promise.
And you're thinking it's from the Pacers?
I think it's from the Pacers. But I don't have him very high myself, because I feel like he did not show very much. He didn't play in the combine. He didn't play very much this year at Wake Forest, but Bobby Klintman from Sweden and at Wake Forest, that is who I'm going to have here. So he's all the way down in the 40s as well, if you want to just copy and paste there. But Bobby is, in theory, this good defender, this switchable wing who can kind of hit shots too. But to me, he's just like a standstill shooter. The theory is that you eventually get Nicholas Batum. I don't know that he hits it. I think he should go back to school personally, but he's not. It doesn't seem like he's going to. But yeah,
he shouldn't.
If he's got a first round promise, he needs to take the first round.
All that story generated. Some other team's going to be like, "Oh well, if he's still there, we got to take him."
Yeah.
He's the one who leaked that he has a first round promise. That's going to be the secret of it all. So assuming it's not the Charlotte Hornets that have him, they've got this pick from the Nuggets. Mike, where do you think Charlotte might go after they selected Brandon Miller with the second pick to go beside LaMelo and Miles Bridges, looking like he's on his way back as well?
This is an easy pick to me.
What position are you thinking, Jordan?
Center.
You thinking Trace?
I was actually thinking James Najee.
Yeah, you're high on Najee. I don't know. I haven't watched enough of Najee.
He's from my home.
He's high on Najee, but he has Trace higher.
That's true.
I think I would go if I'm gonna go center, or if he is a center. I don't know if he really is, but I think I'd go. I just feel like they have. Well, I actually think Mark Williams is going to be something, so I'm actually kind of looking somewhere else.
Yeah.
So let's do Colby Jones, I think.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
It's kind of like a little bit older player. Is he good? I don't know that much about him. Is he a good defender?
Yeah, pretty decent defender.
Yeah, so let's go with that.
Yeah, it's a good wing for them to have.
Yeah.
So the Jazz, they definitely need defense at this point.
Colby Jones can really pass. Looks like. Well, that's good. Yeah.
So for defense, I think I am going to go a little bit out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and do Andre Johnson. It's a little bit lower on my board, but the fit there, they desperately Andre Jackson, not Johnson. Tired. Andre Jackson, better defender. They need that defense. If he can shoot, look, here's the thing. He's kind of made the threes. It looks like he's in pain. Not like it's painful to watch him shoot, but it also looks like he's in pain when he shoots. So I don't know what's going on with his shot form, but it goes in some of the time. So I don't know. But yeah, I think he's a good fit. He can kind of pass the ball a little bit. Somebody's got to pass the ball on that team. So yeah, I think Andre Jackson's who I'm going with.
All right, then, Mike, for your last pick of this mock draft, who do you have the Pacers taking? This is their third pick of the first round also, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, I'm going between. They still have, but yeah, they have McConnell and okay. Give me a shitty Sissoko, however you say his name.
CD Sissoko.
Just because he's kind of like the highest upside player left, and I think stage a guy like that falls to you. I mean, I actually think I kind of liked what I saw from him because he has the athleticism, he has passing. He's not a good shooter, but it's not completely not. He's not a non-shooter by any means. So that athleticism, young age, producing somewhat in the G League a little bit with the good passing. Maybe he has a little bit of defensive chops. It looks like so. At least in terms of stocks, I don't know. He's the smartest defender, so I think City's.
All right, then, and Jordan, to round this out, who do you have the Clippers taking at 30?
This is where I'm going to the Clippers have seemed to want to take upside with these picks, and so I'm going to go with James Najee. I think he has the highest upside left, and they seem to be wanting another center. I know they had Plumlee for a little bit this year at the end, but I have a feeling that Plumlee is probably going to go to a different team where he can start. So I think that he can come in and be that backup big for them. I believe that James Najee can switch, and that's where I am higher on him than some people. Some people believe he's just a traditional big who can't do any switching. I think he can switch. And if you've ever seen, for those of you who have not seen James Najee, just imagine if Thanos wasn't purple. That's what he looks like. So he's huge. And yeah, that's what I've got.
All right, then. I think that about wraps everything up. Did you guys have any final thoughts you wanted to throw in before we get out of here? Right on that hour mark.
I would say the 5 guys that I have with first round grades that didn't get taken are Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana. I believe he's a first rounder in my heart. I don't believe he's going to go first round, but in my heart, he's a first rounder. Terquavian Smith, who is dropping. I don't think I've ever can remember anyone else who he went into the draft last year and every scout was like, man, you got to put on weight. And if you put on weight, you're going to be like a lottery pick. And then he came back. He's 10 pounds lighter than he was last year. So like he completely ignored everybody. He can't shoot anymore. He forgot how to shoot this year. It's just like, but if he can get back to what he was last year, he had so much potential. Brandon Podmazitsky,
we need to figure out how to say his name.
Yeah, he that's a hard name for me to figure out, but I have him with a first round grade. He's a great shooter, great rebounder. So I think he's great. And then we've mentioned before Derek Whitehead. I think he needs to have a mention.
I was picking Whitehead over Sissoko. A few people that I forgot were still there.
But Whitehead is the guy there that I think, that's a great. He's got a lot of upside, but he's injured right now, so I don't know how much the injury is going to factor into a team passing on him because of the injury. And then the last one is Jordan Walsh. So Jordan Walsh, super athlete from Arkansas. I have him with a first round grade, but I also could see him maybe. There is some rumors that he might go back to school, but I have a first round grade on him, so I wouldn't go back to school if I was him.
I like Whitehead actually. To the Grizzlies at 25. They can stash him while they figure out what's going on with Ja. They're not necessarily stash him, but they're not
using this backup.
They have their core together.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for Ja to stop being crazy, and then you add someone like Whitehead, who's got I think some long-term potential to be a really valuable role player, more so.
Yeah,
kind of like what I actually think he's kind of similar to what Wiggins actually ended up becoming. Like if he could do that, I don't think he's necessarily as good as Wiggins by any stretch, but aiming to be the type of player that Wiggins is now at a lower
Wiggins
level.
is the comp. If he can get healthy, Wiggins is the comp.
Yeah, like now Wiggins, not number one pick. Future Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
guy.
All right then, Jordan, you got any plugs for us before we go?
No, just follow us on Twitter and follow us on Hoop Social. We are getting really close to the draft, so we've got a ton of content about to come out. The deadline for withdrawals is in 2 days, so after that, we're going to have a big board update after all of the college players have to withdraw or not. And after that, we'll also start getting some of our team-specific draft previews are going to come out. So,
Mike, you got anything?
I think that's it. Good,
all right. If you've listened this long, you clearly like us. So join the Discord and you can chat with us. The link is in the description. That's all I've got to plug. Thanks for inviting me on to play guest host for this episode. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the draft even more now because I only knew about half of these guys. So you guys have done me a great service. So saying all that, thank you for this edition of Assisted Development and have a good one.